Starting off with Ukraine, top story for us as well. The fear is the uncertainty there is going to have a knock-on effect on the economy.
Yeah, Standard & Poor's has come out to underline that fear. The credit rater has cut Ukraine's credit rating by one notch, saying it's unclear how the political turmoil will now be resolved. Protests continue, meanwhile, in central Kiev, and as you've been hearing, the Prime Minister and the Ukrainian government have now resigned. S&P says there is an increased risk of Russia backing out of a $15 billion deal to help Ukraine if the turmoil doesn't end. The Ukrainian economy showed signs of a recession back in 2013, and there are warnings of further contraction looking ahead. Let's listen in now.
In general, there are indications that business activity, investment activity is getting slower, because people are quite uncertain on what would come next and so on and so forth. So I believe that this political turmoil might have impact on GDP.
OK, moving further west now, the British economy expanded at its fastest pace since the financial crisis last year. To be specific, the UK economy grew by 1.9% in comparison to 2012. The British government says that the growth figure shows that its economic plan is working. Economists agree that the British recovery is gathering pace, but they also voice concerns of growing imbalances in the UK, including rapidly rising property prices. Even as the British economy is looking up, the Queen and the rest of her household is coming under pressure to tighten their belts. A parliamentary committee has found that the household's cash reserves are at an all-time low. Delano D'Souza has more.
Under pressure to get a little more entrepreneurial. A Public Accounts Committee report has found the Royal Reserve Fund for Emergencies is down to its last £1 million. Lawmakers in the UK are urging the royals to adopt a more commercial approach and to open up the palaces to visitors more often.
Well, I think MPs need to press the royals to give up responsibility for the palaces so tourists can go in all year. We can then get those buildings working properly and maintained properly. We also need to look at the total cost of the monarchy right across the country.
The British remain fond of their monarchy in spite of having their own belts tightened. Last year, the sovereign grant funded by taxpayers paid the Queen around £31 million. And while Buckingham Palace says it boosted its income by £5 million between 2007 and 2013, the panel report finds that 39% of royal buildings are in poor condition.
The boiler at Buckingham Palace is 60 years old. It's out of date. The bills, the electricity and gas bills are huge. It should be replaced. There's no money for it.
While the rest of the country has faced cuts in public spending and civil service layoffs, the royal household staff of over 400 has remained intact. Many say it's time for the royals to learn to do more with less.
OK, we're going to take a look at the stock markets next. For the past few sessions, worries about emerging markets have weighed on shares globally. But US stocks, they're rising for the first time in 4 sessions this Tuesday. Investors in the United States, they're looking ahead to the result of a 2-day Federal Reserve meeting in Washington. European shares, they also recovered on Tuesday after hitting several week lows on Monday. The CAC 40 here in Paris was up around about 0.2% at the close, whereas the DAX was up almost 1%. And if we bring you some more corporate stories on the back of that, German shares, they were helped as Siemens reported a 20% rise in fourth quarter profits. The German company made just under 1.5 billion euros between October and December 2013. Siemens makes products from trains to medical equipment, and it is seen as a German bellwether. The firm also warned of challenging markets during its current financial year. Shares in Apple, they're falling over on Wall Street after the company's first quarter results disappointed. The electronics giant made $13 billion during the quarter and sold a record number of iPhones and iPads. Analysts had expected even higher sales figures, though, and Apple also issued a cautious outlook for the second quarter. And the chief executive of IKEA says there are positive signs of consumers being willing to spend more. That includes Southern Europe, which he says shows good signs of activity. It came as the flat pack giant reported a record full-year profit of 3.3 billion euros. And perhaps the Queen should head over to IKEA to a few dimes on furniture. Who knows? That's one tip for the royal household.
I don't know if they do four-poster beds, Marcus. Maybe they do. OK, that's it for business. We're going to take a short break. We're going to leave you with the best of what's got people clicking and sharing and liking and tweeting and all the rest of it. It's time for Web News.